pashe Gangam bhasamna khalu buddhafena panthe Brahma dravatvam apagacchati niradharmahe. Okay. Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, actually, I have a bad throat, so
Okay.
I can read it, but I can't sing. So that's why.
Okay. No problem. No problem.
Yes.
I think Soumya Mataji was there. She having comes and going, I think. Okay, she's not there. So that's fine. I think Parth Prabhu also sent the message previously that he's going to join in a while. So I'll read once more and then I will read the translation. Drashte swabhava janater vapusascha doshe na prakratatmamiha bhakta janasya pashe gangam bhasamna khalu buddhafena panthe brahma dravatvam apagacchati niradharmahe. Yeah, translation by Srila Prabhupada. Translation, word to word synonym, translation and purport by Jagatguru Srila Prabhupada. Jagatguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Being situated in his original Krishna conscious position, a pure devotee does not identify with the body. Such a devotee should not be seen from a materialistic point of view. Indeed, one should overlook a devotee's having a body born in a low family, a body with a bad complexion, a deformed body, or a diseased or infirm body. According to ordinary vision, such imperfections may seem prominent in the body of a pure devotee, but despite such seeming defects, the body of a pure devotee cannot be polluted. It is exactly like the waters of Ganges, which sometimes during the rainy season are full of bubbles, foam, and mud. The Ganges waters do not become polluted. Those who are advanced in spiritual understanding will bathe in the Ganges without considering the condition of the water. Yeah. So, so we studying the purport. We covered some points that the revision points that we covered the Shuddha Bhakti or a pure Bhakti. And we covered the point that we should be taken into account the main business of spiritual master and who's Goswami, and Goswami is not heredity, it is a monopoly of pure devotees, right? So who else there who can read? I think Parth Prabhu is here. Hare Krishna, Parth Prabhu. I think he's having a problem in his maybe connections. So
Prabhuji, I can read. It's okay.
You okay to read, Mataji? Your throat looks very your voice is very clear.
I can read. In case I have some trouble, then I'll tell you. But I can read right now. Yes. Okay,
Mataji. So I want to cover a point, one point left in last class about the para we stopped. I want to read that para again. I start from on the other hand, a devotee. So yeah, if you have a book with you, you can.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
It's from the on the other hand, a devotee.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, it's from there.
On the other hand, a devotee who has attained the title of Goswami, but is not born of a Brahmin father or of a Goswami in the family of Nityanand or Advait Prabhu, should not be artificially puffed up by thinking that he has become a Goswami. He should always remember that as soon as he becomes materially puffed up, he immediately falls down. This Krishna consciousness movement is a transcendental science, and there is no room for jealousy. This movement is meant for the Paramhansas who are completely free from all jealousy. paramam nirmat saranam. One should not be jealous whether he is born in a family of Goswamis or has the title of Goswami awarded to him. As soon as anyone becomes envious, he falls from the platform of Paramhamsa.
Yes, Mata. So we'll stop here. So yes, so this in this para, this here the point, the Hare Krishna movement, Srila Prabhupada are saying that Hare Krishna movement is for Paramhamsas and who's completely free from all jealousy. So who is Paramhamsa? So the question is, who is Paramhamsa? So Srila Prabhupada has explained in a different purport. Srila Prabhupada was saying that the sannyas order, there are 4 divisions. One is Kutichaka and Bahudaka, Hamsa and Paramhamsa. 4. So only when the sannyasi remains on Kutichaka and Bahudaka platform can he carry a sannyas danda. However, when one is elevated to the status of Hamsa or Paramhamsa after touring and preaching the bhakti cult, he must give up the sannyas staff or danda. This is in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 5, verse 142, purport. So Srila Prabhupada was explaining the 4 divisions of sannyas, where the Paramhamsa is the top level, I think Somya Mataji is saying that she can also read. So once we cover this point, then Somya Mataji can read. Okay, Mataji? Yes. All right. So who's Paramhamsa? So these are the 4 divisions that Srila Prabhupada explained. Now, so Paramhamsa is an advanced stage, of sannyas order, where sannyasi touring and preaching bhakti cult, like Srila Prabhupada and Srila Gurudev. Srila Prabhupada spreaded the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu all over the world and established ISKCON, where all devotees come together and glorify Krishna and doing Sankirtana, So this is the business of Paramhamsa. That's why Srila Prabhupada addressed like Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivajak Charya Ashtotra Sat Shri Srimad Abhay Charna Vindu Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So that's how is the Paramhamsa and Parivajak Charya that Srila Prabhupada was addressed, So Paramhamsa is free from envy. This envious nature is the cause of our fall down. And the conditioned soul is envious of Krishna, and we want to become Krishna, like Krishna, want to enjoy material nature. So that's why, and want to load it over the material energy. That's why we are here struggling in this material world. Actually, human life is meant for tapasya and sense control. As we studied in previous verses, we started with Vacho Vega, that first text. So Srila Prabhupada said that those who have been trained for abstinence in material pleasures are called dhira, or men undisturbed by the senses. So only dhiras can accept the order of sannyas, and they can gradually rise to the status of Paramhamsa. So first we need to become dhira. The point is here that abstinence in material pleasure. In Kali Yuga, sannyas is not recommended because the sense gratification and misunderstanding is prominent in this age. And last Sunday, His Grace Krishna Smarpan Krishna Das Prabhu, it took the class on Kali Yuga, how what's the symptoms of Kali Yuga and how the people are in Kali Yuga. So there is the reference is here also that in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 1, verse 10, and it says that Prayena Alpa Ayush Sabhya Kalva Asmin Yuge Janaha Manda Sumanda Matayo Manda Bhagya Hi Upadrutaha. Translation: O learned one, in this iron age of Kali, men have but short lives. They are quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. So becoming dhira is very difficult, in this age. So that's why Srila Prabhupada said that this movement is for Paramhamsas, and we all have to become Goswamis. The message is clear that here Krishna movement is for intelligent people. We have to come to the level of sense control and cultivate pure bhakti. Because without that, no doubt that in Kali Yuga we are Manda Sumanda, Manda Bhagya, but it doesn't mean that we just keep falling down, So the rules and regulations, the austerity must be followed, the tapasya, because human life is made for tapasya. So we don't leave that. If you leave that, and then you become hypocrite, and that's not the sign of Goswami. A dhira, first of all, we have to become dhira person, undisturbed. So this is the point I want to cover for this para. So I think we'll start reading the next purport now. So I think Somya Mataji, she agreed to read. So yes, Mataji, you can carry on now.
Yes, Prabhuji. We are here, right? If we consider the bodily defects, yes.
Prabhuji. Yes, Mataji.
If we consider the bodily defects of a Vaishnava, we should understand that we are committing an offense at the lotus feet of the Vaishnava. An offense at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava is very serious. Indeed, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has described this offense as Hati Mata, the mad elephant offense. A mad elephant can create a disaster, especially when it enters into a nicely trimmed garden. One should therefore be very careful not to commit any offense against a Vaishnava. Every devotee should be ready to take instructions from a superior Vaishnava, and a superior Vaishnava must be ready to help an inferior Vaishnava in all respects. One is superior or inferior according to his spiritual development in Krishna consciousness. One is forbidden to observe the activities of a pure Vaishnava from a material point of view. For the neophyte especially, considering a pure devotee from a material point of view is very injurious. One should therefore avoid observing a pure devotee externally, but should try to see the internal features and understand how he is engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. In this way, one can avoid seeing the pure devotee from a material point of view, and thus one can gradually become a purified devotee himself.
Yes, Mataji. So we'll stop here. So in this para, Srila Prabhupada covered a very important point. So it is Vaishnava aparadh, So committing an offense of the lotus feet of Vaishnava. Srila Prabhupada gave the reference of Hati Mata. This in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, chapter 19, verse 56. It says like this: Yadi Vaishnava aparadha ute Hati Mata upade va chindane tara sukhi yaya pata. Translation: If the devotee commits an offense at the feet of the Vaishnava while cultivating the creeper of devotional service in the material world, his offense is compared to a mad elephant that uproots the creeper and breaks it. In this way, the leaves of the creeper are dried up. So this is the etiquette of Vaishnava, how a Vaishnava should behave. Dealing with other Vaishnava and people in general. All this comes in Vaishnava etiquette. Now, as Srila Prabhupada are saying, for the neophyte especially, considering a pure devotee from material point of view is very injurious. So actually, Srila Prabhupada also said that unless one is actually a devotee, he cannot see another devotee perfectly. So if we are not a devotee, then we are conditioned to see everyone on a material point of view, and only a devotee can understand how another devotee is engaged in the loving devotion service of the Lord. So this is how we can avoid committing Vaishnava aparadh. At neophyte stage, we must stick to a one source of knowledge and avoid wandering here and there, because otherwise we will never get trained up perfectly, properly, and we bring our nonsense to bhakti also. So of course, we surrender intelligently, not surrendering our intelligence. But the etiquette is that we take instructions from our superior Vaishnavas, and superior in the sense of spiritual advancement in Krishna consciousness, not in the material point of view. So is superior, any devotees can be superior if he is very advanced in Krishna consciousness. Age doesn't matter, or the material position doesn't matter, because this is all outer covering. This verse about, so we don't look at the point, material point of view. We look at the spiritual point of view. So yeah, so we'll read the next paragraph, Mataji, for that.
Those who think that Krishna consciousness is limited to a certain section of people, a certain section of devotees, or a certain tract of land are generally prone to see the external features of the devotee. Such neophytes, unable to appreciate the exalted service of the advanced devotee, try to bring the Mahabhagavat to their platform. We experience such difficulty in propagating this Krishna consciousness all over the world. Unfortunately, we are surrounded by neophyte god brothers who do not appreciate the extraordinary activities of spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world. They simply try to bring us to their platform, and they try to criticize us in every respect. We very much regret their naive activities and poor fund of knowledge. An empowered person who is actually engaged in the confidential service of the Lord should not be treated as an ordinary human being. For it is stated that unless one is empowered by Krishna, one cannot spread the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world.
Yes, Mataji. So here, Srila Prabhupada was saying that whoever is the pure devotee spreading the Krishna consciousness all over the world is empowered by Krishna, and so this is the next point, that Krishna consciousness is not sectarian. It is not. Some people think that it is Indian or it is a Hindu. It is not. It is not sectarian. Srila Prabhupada said that such neophyte unable to appreciate the exalted service of advanced devotees try to bring the Mahabhagavat to their platform. We studied who's Mahabhagavat, Uttam Adhikari. So Krishna consciousness is universal. It is not for one sect of people, or it is for every living entity. Like sun, moon, earth, air, water, fire, space, all these material elements. They cannot be divided into sectarian. Similarly, Krishna consciousness is a prime occupation of soul. So it is also not to be taken as sectarian. So the people who think that this way, they are on material platform, and they try to bring Mahabhagavat to the same platform. So this is a big Vaishnava aparadh. And preaching the Krishna consciousness all over the world is not ordinary. Srila Prabhupada said that unless one is empowered by Krishna, one cannot spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. So Mahabhagavat is very merciful and humble, but it doesn't mean that we will minimize he will be minimized in any way. This is the example. There is an example of Maharaj Ambarish in Srimad Bhagavatam. When Durvasha Muni, he's a very big mystic yogi, offended Maharaj Ambarish, and who is a pure devotee of the Lord. Durvasha Muni was chased by Sudarshan Chakra and of the Lord. And in the end, Durvasha Muni realized the position of pure devotee. So in other side, Mahabhagavat is a Uttam Adhikari and doesn't see anyone of his enemy, or he's not jealous of anyone. And because he sees everyone equal. This is said in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, verse 18. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastani Suni Cheva Swapakecha Panditaha Samadarshina. Translation: the humble sages, by virtues of true knowledge, see with equal vision of learned and gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog-eater or outcast. So Srila Prabhupada said in the purport that a Krishna conscious person does not make any distinction between species or caste. So this is the position of a Uttamadhikari. He got an equal vision. That's why it is said that the preaching is done at the Madhyam Adhikari level. Because at the Uttam Adhikari, he sees everywhere Krishna, sees Krishna in everything. So that's why the Madhyam Adhikari level, the preaching is done. So then how we should behave then? This is the etiquette. What should be the etiquette of behaving? So we will read the last paragraph and then we'll cover that point. Yes, Mother.
When one thus criticizes a pure devotee, he commits an offense, Vaishnava Aprad, that is very obstructive and dangerous for those who desire to advance in Krishna consciousness. A person cannot derive any spiritual benefit when he offends the lotus feet of a Vaishnava. Everyone should therefore be very careful not to be jealous of an empowered Vaishnava or a Sudha Vaishnava. It is also an offense to consider an empowered Vaishnava an object of disciplinary action. It is offensive to try to give him advice or to correct him. One can distinguish between a neophyte Vaishnava and an advanced Vaishnava by their activities. The advanced Vaishnava is always situated as the spiritual master, and the neophyte is always considered his disciple. The spiritual master must not be subjected to the advice of a disciple, nor should a spiritual master be obliged to take instructions from those who are not his disciples. This is the sum and substance of Srila Rupa Goswami's advice in the 6th verse.
Yeah, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, yeah, so here, as I said that, so what's the Vaishnava etiquette? So it's like an empowered Vaishnava is not an object of disciplinary action, and we try not to give him advice, and we try not to correct him. Actually, these are the etiquettes that we follow with our superior Vaishnavas. Our superior Vaishnavas are our Shiksha Guru. So we're getting Shiksha from them. So we follow instructions from them. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu once asked, actually there is an example that when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he took sannyas, and once he asked that why he chant and dance, because this is not the sign of sannyasi, and sannyasi should be engaged in Vedanta studies. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that his guru found him unintelligent or fool, and thus told him to chant the holy name of the Lord instead of Vedanta studies. So this is actually, I will read the reference. It's in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, chapter 7, verse 71 and 72. Prabhu kahe suna Sripad, ihara karana, ihara karana, Guru more murkha dekhi, karile shasana. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied to Prakashananda Saraswati, my dear sir, kindly hear the reason. My spiritual master considered me a fool, and therefore he chastised me. The next verse, Murkha tumi tomara nahika Vedanta adhikara, Krishna mantra japa sada ei mantra sara. So you are a fool, he said. You are not qualified to study Vedanta philosophy, and therefore you must always chant the holy name of Krishna. This is the essence of all mantras or Vedic hymns. So here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu telling himself fool in front of his guru. This is the Vaishnava etiquette. Mahaprabhu teaching us. Not that Mahaprabhu is a fool, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But how we should behave in front of our guru is taught here. And Srila Prabhupada said in the purport that the disciple must carry out the spiritual master's instructions without deviation. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur remarks in this connection that a disciple must accept the words of his spiritual master as his life and soul. So this is how we behave with our superior Vaishnavas, and avoid committing Vaishnava aparadh. Actually, Vaishnava etiquette is a vast topic and include so many things like rules to be followed in temple, worship methods, right way to be seated in the temple, clothing, cleanliness, arti, accepting Mahaprasad, and personal habits, kirtan, speech, preaching, kitchen rules, studying, services, austerity, behavior with other devotees and in public, etc. So many things. So Vaishnava etiquette is said to be the ornament of a devotee. It is referred in Chaitanya Charitamrita, um, Antyalila, chapter 4, verse 29 and 30 and 31. It says, Yadyapyo tumi hayo jagt pavana toma sparshe pavitra haya deva muni gana tathapi bhakta swabhava maryada rakshana maryada palana haya sadhura bhushana. My dear Sanatan, although you are the deliverer of the entire universe, and although even the demigods and great saints are purified by touching you, it is the characteristics of a devotee to observe and protect the Vaishnava etiquette. Maintenance of the Vaishnava etiquette is the ornament of a devotee. So here it is said that when Vaishnava, he follows the Vaishnava etiquette, is his ornament, So, and we must follow these Vaishnava etiquettes to avoid the Vaishnava aparad. So, in the next verse, it is said that what will happen if we do not follow Vaishnava etiquette? It says, Maryada langhena loke kare uphas iha loka paraloka dui haya nash. Translation: if one transgresses the laws of etiquette, people make fun of him, and thus he is vanquished in both this world and the next world. Means, like if we don't, the Vaishnava or devotees don't follow these etiquettes, so it will be like destroyed. People make fun of him, and he will be destroyed in both worlds, this world and the next world. So this is the conclusion of this verse, that we should avoid Vaishnava aparad and we follow Vaishnava etiquette. Because Uttam Adhikari or Mahabhagavat is empowered soul. He's a pure devotee of Krishna. And Krishna doesn't like if his pure devotee is harassed. There is the example of Ambarish Maharaj, that's in Srimad Bhāgavatam. So in this verse, like this, it's not very big purpose, but this verse is very important. It's telling us about the Uttam Adhikari, what is the Uttam Adhikari's position and how we behave, what is the Vaishnava etiquette, and what is the Vaishnava aparad. Now like so many, as we can see here, that people falling down. That was the question also was last week, that then how we, because the sannyasi, the big sannyasis also fall down. So are we committing Vaishnava aparad, to talking about it or criticizing about it, or means, because it's happening in our societies and in devotee society also. So here we can see that who is Uttam Adhikari. So this is our chakshus. So we can study the scriptures, and then we can see how particular sannyasi or Vaishnava is behaving. As it says here, that the Uttam Adhikari is always engaged in loving devotional service of the Lord. And so many examples that His Grace Amrish Prabhu gives the example of Srila Gurudev, and that how Srila Gurudev was carrying himself in a public, and how, like, if the woman devotee is coming, or woman comes to see Guru Maharaj, and how Guru Maharaj was quite away, So those things, and Guru Maharaj shown us the simple living and high thinking. He's a living Bhagavata. The Bhagavad, why is called Mahabhagavat? So there is one Bhagavat, that Srimad Bhagavatam, when we read, Another one is living Bhagavata. So living Bhagavat is the person, the Uttam Adhikari, who is living, who is there, who is showing us by his acharan. So he is a living Bhagavat. So that's why the spiritual master, we always, and this is a very big offense, like when we try to correct, as Srila Prabhupada said in the last para, that we shouldn't be, the disciples should not correct his spiritual master, and he says that and the advanced devotee, the one, it says here, so that, yeah, he is not object of disciplinary action, and it is offensive to try to give him advice or correct him. One can distinguish between neophyte Vaishnava and advanced Vaishnava by their activities. The advanced Vaishnava is always situated as the spiritual master, and the neophyte is always considered as his disciple. So we should avoid these aparadh, the Vaishnava aparadh. So when we deal with, or when we are in front of our spiritual master, and as the example of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that we shouldn't be posing ourselves that we know everything, or we know big things. No, we are full in front of spiritual master, and even our superior Vaishnavas, because we are getting shiksha from them. So we always have a humble attitude, and this is a very important Vaishnava attitude. So yeah, so we shouldn't be committing Vaishnava aparadh like this, and it's very important at the neophyte stage. And one point that I mentioned that is very important when we stick to the one source of knowledge. Why we shouldn't be like jumping here and there to avoid what you call the training, that the training we're getting is not be perfect, not proper then, if we are here and there. So is there any question regarding this this purport, that the points we so far we studied in the purport? Is there any question or any anything you want to share? Okay. Is Past Prabhu there? He was saying that he was going to join later. Oh yeah, Past Prabhu is there. Okay, now another thing is that if you, Past Prabhu saying my mic is not working, Prabhu. Okay, Prabhu. So you can write your questions in the intermediate group, because I will encourage you to ask questions to clarify some points. That's because these are very important points, and when we are getting trained up, so these points needs to be clear. And I will request His Grace Amrish Prabhuji to clarify those points and those questions, answer those questions. But unless we won't ask, then how we get the answers, So we must ask questions. So I can request His Grace Amrish Prabhu, and you can communicate in the intermediate group. That group is for us to communicate. So is any questions, any point of time you think that, okay, this point was that not clear, or wanted more explanation on that point, before, like we done the half purport last week, and I thought that the Paramhamsa point that we should discuss more. So you could have asked those questions in intermediate, just post in the intermediate group, and then we can cover that, So, and because these verses, after this verse is very important verses, and I will request His Grace Amrish Prabhuji for answer those questions and clarify more, So I think that's we covered this verse or this text today, and and you guys, you devotees don't have any questions for now. But as I said, that the latest you can post it to Wednesday night, Wednesday. So give enough time for His Grace Amrish Prabhuji for to answer those questions, in the next class. So yes, so I'll I think Amrish Prabhuji is here also. So I'll ask Amrish Prabhu if he wants to say something. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Very nice. And no, I don't want to say anything. Thank you. If there are any queries, I think most of the questions are answered by you as well, which has been raised by the intermediate level devotees there. And I think quite clearly it is mentioned. So,
Yes,
yeah, my role is just to guide you or clarify if there's anything more. Otherwise, we can just move to the next verse, next section.
next verse. Yes, Prabhuji, because the intermediate, the group is there, so I think I'm encouraging devotees to make most of it there. So if at any point of time they want to clarify that, okay, last week we didn't understand that point, so they can ask that and post in that intermediate group.
Yeah, that's fine. If they want to clarify, anyone wants to clarify, if your tutors wants to say something, clarify with the students, then they can ask. I'll try my level best to answer that. No problem.
Yes, so by Wednesday night is all right, Prabhuji, for you to, or Tuesday?
I mean, once your verse is over, then if there's no questions, if there are questions, then I'll take that question answers the next week, the coming Sunday. But if there are no questions, then new verse, new text will start. So you require more time to prepare. So it's up to you. It's up to you what you want to do.
Right.
How long do you want,
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes. I think, I think Tuesday is fine for everyone, because even if the clarification needed on the following Sunday, so that also give enough time, and for preparation for the next verse also is there, the enough time. So yes, Prabhuji, I think we'll keep the deadline for Tuesday night. And if you have questions, so you can please ask in the intermediate group. Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Very nice.
Yes. So yes, Prabhuji. That's what I wanted to ask. Now, for now, I think we finished the text number 6. So we should conclude here, Prabhuji, for today's class, and we'll come back for the next class in 10 minutes. Yes. Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you very much. Then we conclude today's session for Nectar of Instruction. I'll disconnect from YouTube now, and